Hey, what's up, Ron here. Today we're going to learn how to master watercolor edges real quick, no BS guide. So just before we get to the how, let's define edges. So what you're seeing here is a multitude of edges. Some edges are soft, some edges are hard and very distinct, and by using different edges you can express different things. Now I'm going to divide this into three types of edges. So one of them, which is the easiest one, is just a hard edge. So I have a bunch of water and paint here, and check this out. What we got here, that's a hard edge. Okay, that's just the simplest kind of a hard watercolor edge. The type of paper, by the way, doesn't matter. This is hot press, so it's smooth paper. I have a cold press example here. Let's do the exact same thing, a hard edge. In fact, if you're using a bit of a drier brush, you'll get a lot of these multitude of hard edges in the form of a texture. Okay, the next type of edge is, let's say, a semi-blurry or blended or soft edge. So let's switch a color here. So if I have a bit of green, let's say, right? So we got a hard edge right here. Let's use a lot of juicy paint, okay? And this is something people struggle with for months and years. There's no need to. So in order to create a somewhat soft edge, I'm going to come back with a damp brush and simply I'm going to soften this edge up. Now the most important factor here is a damp brush, not a wet brush, just a damp brush. You can see it here. The edge starts to move. In fact, let me show it to you real close. See? And I can do the same thing here on a cold press paper. Come on, bend the other way. There we go. And I'm going to come back. Again, very juicy paint. I'm going to come back with a damp brush. Sometimes this is easier to do on hot press paper, believe it or not. So see, I'm softening this edge with a damp brush. Now, I'm going to show you a third kind of an edge, but this time you want to focus in because I'm going to show you two ways of achieving it. And by the way, sometimes you'll see the movement will stop. You can come back with, yet again, another damp brush and reawaken, re-soften it. It's quite a simple thing to do once you have the intuitive knowledge of how much water to use. It's okay if you don't in the beginning, you will get there. So now let me show you real quick. This is my paper towel. I dip into my water, okay? So that's a wet brush. Now, if I do a dab, it's a little less wet, but it's still quite wet. If I do another dab or two, it's a moist brush, and then I can move things a little more gently. This is something you have to try out for yourself, which is why I'm not going into the too much technical details. This cannot be simplified to a mechanical process like a robot. You'll have to develop your own intuition to it, and it will depend on your materials, your paper, your brushes, everything else. The next kind of edge, I'm going to show you a more traditional way of doing it, and then I'm going to show you something I'm doing all the time that will make it 10 times easier. So first off, what color should we use? Let's go with just a red. It's a clean red. So I have this shape here, right? And let's say once again, I want to loosen up the edge. So a hard edge, a somewhat soft edge, and a very soft edge, okay? So check it out. I'm coming back with a wet brush that has lots of water. And I'm letting that edge, I'm setting it free. So you'll see a very smooth transition, maybe not necessarily as smooth as it can be, but a very gradual one. Let me show it to you once again. A little bit of that similar red. Paint, come back with a wet brush, which means I dip it in the water and then maybe I dab it on my paper towel. Not much more than dabbing. And loosen up the edge. And you see that it's softer, it moves longer, moves for a longer distance as opposed to changing relatively quick here. Okay, same thing can be done on cold press or rough textured paper. So here's my paint. And I'm coming back with water. On cold press, you may need more water, just letting you know. And you see it's a very gradual transition. You can come back towards the dry edge with more water and help it move a bit more, kind of loosen it up. But what if there's an easier way? So I'm going to show you the easiest way I've found to achieve this very same effect. Instead of putting the paint first, maybe some of you have guessed it, you put the water first. So I'm just going to put a bunch of water here, just clean water, I don't know if you can see. I'll have to hold it at just the right angle towards the window. There we go. You can see the sheen. And all I'm going to do is come back with this. Let's use a bit of green here. Green and yellow. Come back and add the paint in. And check it out. So much easier to achieve. Okay. Let me show it to you again here on cold press paper. Coming in with a lot of water and simply with the paint. I already have a built-in pre-made soft edge, right? Hard transition, somewhat soft transition, softer transition. And I find that if you master these, you have pretty much whatever you need. I wanted to see if there's something on the other end. Whatever you need to paint just about anything. So when you end up painting, like, I think this has like a back study on it. There we go, like a Barg back study. Start with a hard edge and then you soften another edge. So I can actually replicate this shape for you. So I'm going to start with, let's go with the blue here. So I'm going to start with a hard edge here. And as we get to this area, I'm simply going to soften it with a damp brush like so. And then maybe you want to have another hard edge somewhere around here and soften just one area of it. And before you know it, if you do enough of these somewhat abstract shapes, you'll get a realistic impression. I hope that was helpful. Just a real quick one. Let me know in the comments down below. If it was helpful, let me know your thoughts. And don't forget, if you want to support my work, check out my frustration-free watercolor course, link in the description box below. If you want to take things to the next level, check out the watercolor realism course. And if you want to support my work via Patreon, thank you so much for those who are already there and supporting my work. Check it out. You'll get credits at the end of the videos and access to multiple exclusive processes, some things that are a little more polished and high level. And I think you'll enjoy these a lot. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next vid. Take care.